You're listening to The Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We de-propagandize the mainstream media. Yes, we make commentary, but commentary on this broadcast is not news. It's just opinion. And we carefully delineate between news and opinion. Now, opinion being yours and mine, we should compare, don't you think? Whether you agree with me or not, whether you believe you agree with me or not, share your opinions. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. So, it happened. The Democrat National Convention is off and running. Democrats opened their convention by sending off Joe Biden. And then the president closed the night, which ran significantly behind schedule, with a handoff to Vice President Kamala Harris. Biden said choosing Harris as his running mate in 2020 was the best decision I made in my whole career. Quote, she'll be a president our children can look up to. She'd be a president respected by world leaders because she already is. She'd be a president we can all be proud of, and she'd be a historic president who puts her stamp on America's future. MSNBC put together a highlight package. And as we do on circumstances like this, what we do is we try to provide fair news coverage. And MSNBC, personally, I think it's basically unwatchable because they don't differentiate between news and opinion. And basically, it's just a nonstop derision of America, and that drives me nuts. This was something that they put together. I thought it was fair, so I thought I also would bring it to you here on the Wells Report as we get things going for Tuesday morning.
Good evening. And I want to kick us off by celebrating our incredible president, Joe Biden. Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, for your lifetime of service to our nation, and for all you will continue to do. We are forever grateful to you.
I've got 5 months left in my presidency. I've got a lot to do. I intend to get it done. It's been the honor of my lifetime to serve as your president. I love the job, but I love my country more. She's tough, she's experienced, and she has enormous integrity, Her story represents the best American story. And like many of our best presidents, she was also vice president. In 2024, we need you to vote. We need you to keep the Senate. We need you to win back the House of Representatives. And above all, we need you to beat Donald Trump.
Joe and I know Kamala. We have seen her courage, her determination, and her leadership up close. Kamala and Tim, you will win.
In Kamala Harris, we have a chance to elect a president who is for the middle class because she is from the middle class. Republicans have attacked me by saying that I should go back to bartending. But let me tell you, I happy to any day of the week because there is nothing wrong with working for a living.
Kamala has the character, experience, and vision to lead us forward. So it is no surprise, is it, that he is lying about Kamala's record? He's mocking her name and her laugh. Sounds familiar. But we have him on the run now. On the other side of that glass ceiling is Kamala Harris raising her hand and taking the oath of office as our 47th President of the United States.
Hillary Clinton talking about the glass ceiling, and that's what she was discussing when she said that she would move on to be the 47th President of the United States. Democrats attacked Trump, and they did it over abortion rights. They talked about legal troubles, et cetera, et cetera. That's not the issue. That's not the issue that will propel them to victory in the 2024 election. Just simply in my humble opinion here, okay? Like I said, we differentiate between news and opinion. They got to start talking about issues, and that might be a problem for them. And so that being said, I'm waiting for the beef. I said, I went back to that very, very old, dating myself, Wendy's commercial with the little old lady, Clara something or other. Anyway, Clara used to ask, where's the beef? I want the beef. I want the issues. I want their plans. That's what I'm looking for. How about you? 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. You got to keep something in mind on this broadcast. This is a news broadcast, okay? This is the news. And I'm not in a position where I believe that you need some other talking head, either deriding one party or another, especially in front of this particular election. What I'm trying to get done here is I'm trying to get you the facts that happened last night. Hopefully, you find that worthwhile. But this is also a record. One of the things about journalism is journalizing. And this body of work goes back years. There are hundreds of episodes of the Wells Report. And I mean, I think I started doing Facebook on these broadcasts where I just put one camera up and started putting this thing on Facebook probably 2007. There are hundreds of episodes here. And it is a record of the news that I saw as necessary and my comments about them, but differentiated, of course. So this particular broadcast may make your head hurt if you are of one political persuasion or another. The other thing about it is that being said, you still have to know what is being said and where things are going. And you also have to know what's not being said and where things aren't going. And that's what we try to get done here on the Wells Report. So there are takeaways. There are takeaway articles. We have a couple of them right here that I want to go through. This first one is from USA Today, as they talk a little bit about what they saw last night on the stage at the DNC in Chicago. Joseph Biden delivered a heartfelt goodbye and a dire warning to fellow Democrats who showered their veteran warhorse with gratitude in the party's first in-person convention since 2016. It's a bittersweet time for the 81-year-old president who, after years of dogged questions about his age and capacities, was pushed out by liberal donors and others within his own party after an abysmal debate performance in June. He wiped away tears after embracing his daughter, Ashley, who introduced him to the delegates who gathered in Chicago from across the country. He said, "I love you, honey." He used most of his speech to brag about his administration wins, attack former President Donald Trump, and pass Vice President Kamala Harris a symbolic torch as the new leader of a party he has served for more than half a century. Democrats entered the United Center, home of the Chicago Bulls and Blackhawks, with much more upbeat outlooks about their chances at retaining the White House. Harris is surging past Trump in battleground states, according to polling as reported by USA Today. Much of the convention this week will focus on enthusiasm and turning the page as Democrats focus on reproductive rights, bringing down the cost for an average American, and attacking Trump's character. Protests outside the arena threatened to distract from the Progressive Unity Fest. However, left-leaning activists demand Harris and the Democrats do more to end Israel's bombardment of Gaza as a result of its war with Hamas, stemming from Hamas's October 7th, 2023 genocidal terror attack. So thank you, Joe. Biden's farewell kicked off the DNC 2024. It actually didn't. There were many other speakers before President Biden. President Biden did not hit the stage until 11:28 last night Eastern time. And I have some thoughts on that I'm going to share a little bit later on. But that was I believe, a big mistake. More about that coming up in just a couple of moments. Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, your lifetime of service to the nation, and for all you will continue to do. We are forever grateful to you, said Vice President Harris. Throughout the evening, the crowd chanted, "Thank you, Joe," whenever the president's name came up. President Biden said that he ran for the office 4 years in large part because of Trump's response to the violent protests in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017, where white nationalists clashed with counter-protesters. He talked about lowering prescription drug prices, passing a massive $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, and combating the COVID-19 pandemic. Quote, "The job of president is to deliver for all Americans. Because of you, we've had one of the most extraordinary 4 years of progress ever. When I say we, I mean Kamala and me." But then President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden quickly left Chicago after his speech for Santa Ynez, California, to vacation in wine country. The pair will not be around at the DNC convention for the rest of the week. That means the Bidens will not be present to watch Harris accept the party's nomination on Thursday night. She has a delicate line to walk to honor the man who named her vice president, yet distancing herself from Biden's unpopular handling of inflation and the economy. TV cameras panned to Biden during Harris's remarks and would not have been the optics the Harris campaign wanted, but her allies are hopeful the president dipping out early will not overshadow her big moment either. The Gaza protesters, the vibes inside were in sharp contrast to where hundreds of left-wing activists and organizers waged anti-Gaza war marches in various clashes with Chicago police. One of the more anticipated protests began Monday at Union Park, which is about a half mile from the convention hall. With chants of free Palestine, the crowd swelled to roughly 1,000 people as it approached the United Center. The demonstrations are going to happen all week, could further spoil Harris's party if that dissent gets out of hand or makes it inside the convention. A group of about 30 uncommitted DNC delegates who represent less than 1% of the total delegates want to be given time and space to be heard, for example. They have warned the VP's chances of winning this fall could be hurt unless she embraces an arms embargo on Israel and immediate ceasefire in Gaza. They also shouted, "Abandon Harris," on many occasions as the protesters approached the actual center where the convention is being held. Democrats used yesterday evening to showcase their diverse class of rising stars. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Raphael Warnock, Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas were among those who addressed the conversations and the convention. Beshear, a red state Democrat, and progressive Ocasio-Cortez, who represents the Bronx, hail from different wings and regions within the party, but are both among the fresh faces. The 46-year-old Beshear, who has won 2 elections in a reliably Republican state, has recently come under consideration, or was under consideration by Harris as her running mate. He'll be among the Democrats mentioned as candidates for president, either in 2028 or 2032. In Kentucky, we put reproductive freedom on the ballot last November. I beat Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell's hand-picked candidate by more than 5 percentage points. And so that's how USA Today looked at the convention last night. How did CNN do? What did they see? We'll be talking about that. And also coming up a little bit later on, we'll be talking about the Fox perspective as we report on the DNC, the Democrat National Convention, happening right this minute in Chicago. Our telephone number, 817-379-2172. Did you watch any of the convention last night? If you did, tell me what you saw. If you didn't, tell me why you didn't watch. 817-379-2172. No wrong answers on this one. We're coming together to try to discern what we saw last night and what it means for the future of this nation. You're watching The Wells Report. Thanks for doing so. We'll be right back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. So we're going to have the CNN outlook and the Fox News outlook on what happened last night. Still waiting for what you saw last night if you watched any of the festivities. If you did not, still waiting for your answer. How come you didn't watch any of it? Tell me why. And just let me know why it was that you did not watch anything having to do with the Democrat National Convention yesterday in Chicago. That's an important question. And I really would like to have the answer as you see it. This is not me trying to be critical of your consumption of news. Did I say consumering? Consumption of news. That's not the point. I mean, that's what I'm here for. I mean, I provide you the news. You don't have to go through all that stuff. And so that's, but I'm interested in why you didn't want to watch it. 817-379-2172. More about that coming up in a minute. But right now, the U.S. government has concluded the Iranian government is behind the hack and leak operation targeting Donald Trump's presidential campaign and also attempted to target the Biden-Harris campaign, according to the FBI and other U.S. intelligence agencies. The FBI in recent days briefed the former president on their preliminary findings. Other news organizations reported receiving documents believed to have come from an account belonging to a senior Trump campaign official. Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign has said the hackers were unsuccessful in their attempts against the Biden-Harris campaign. The investigation marks the clearest sign that there are efforts by Iran and other countries to try to influence the 2024 election, according to U.S. officials. Quote, the IC, the intelligence community, is confident that the Iranians have, through social engineering and other efforts, sought to access individuals with direct access to the presidential campaigns of both political parties. Such activities, including theft and disclosures, are intended to influence the U.S. election process. The FBI, the Office of Director of National Intelligence, and Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. You can't say infrastructure and security in sequence without screwing it up. That was also the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, they said in a joint statement yesterday. Quote, it's important to note that this approach is not new. Iran and Russia have employed these tactics not only in the U.S. during this and prior federal election cycles, but also in other countries around the world. Iran's UN mission rejected what it called unsubstantiated claims that its government was behind the hack and leak operation. Such allegations are unsubstantiated and devoid of any standing, said the Iranian permanent mission to the United Nations in a statement given to CNN. The Islamic Republic of Iran harbors neither the intention nor the motive to interfere with the U.S. presidential election. Should the U.S. government genuinely believe in the validity of these claims, it should furnish us with pertinent evidence, if any, to which we will respond accordingly. So this is obviously just a troll by the Iranians. This is from the intelligence community. That means all of the intelligence agencies that provide us with information that is not for public view. They know full well that the intelligence community will not, under any circumstances, tip any of the specific information that they have in public, insofar as that would reveal sources and methods. And that's absolutely true. And they know that. They're just throwing this out there for propaganda value. And I guess it's the only thing they can do. But believe me, if the intelligence community, and I know, what are you saying, John David? I mean, come on. If the intelligence community is saying, hey, we have Iran dead to rights on this, they probably do. Now, of course, if it was, say, for example, I don't know, somebody actually trying to embarrass the Harris Walls ticket, there would probably be a much stiffer response. But apparently that's not the case. Now, that's just an opinion of mine, because the intelligence community kind of showed their political cards, didn't they? Although they've tamped that down in recent times, at least publicly, you wonder just exactly why it would be that the FBI of all agencies would have anything to do with Donald Trump, considering their past. Maybe they're learning something. I don't know. I hesitate to think about it, but I'm pretty sure the intelligence community is correct on this one, that Iran is the culprit. And Iran, well, I'll tell you, they keep putting chips in the middle, don't they? This is the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I'm John David Wells. And yes, we are covering the Democrat National Convention. Yeah. I'm still asking, what did you see last night? We've got takeaways from the major networks. I want to know what your takeaways were if you watched. Also, if you did not watch, how come? What kept you from watching the DNC? I'd really like that answer. 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. It's not that I'm being accusatory. I'm not. My job is to cover the news so you don't have to. And so what I am trying to get done is I'm trying to find out why it would be that you wouldn't watch it. I have a guess, but I'd rather hear it from you. 817-379-2172. So this is CNN's take on what happened last night. Democrats opened their convention in Chicago by sending off Joe Biden. The president closed the night, which, by the way, ran significantly behind schedule. Biden said choosing Harris was the best decision I made in my whole career, and he expelled her virtue. Virtues. A month ago, they were clamoring for him to go. On Monday night, Democrats in Chicago were singing and chanting a different tune. One of the gratitude for decades of public service, personal kindness, and less comfortably for passing the baton to Harris. Biden, in his own speech, which only began after a 4-minute ovation, delivered a spirited message of support for Harris and her running mate, Walz, before dedicating his remarks to familiar yet scathing criticism of Trump and a detailed recollection of his administration's legislative achievements. Couple of important notes here. It was terribly late. It was mean. I said I would talk a little bit about this, so I'll do this now. Joe Biden is the president of the United States. He was elected by the people of the United States. He was unceremoniously sabotaged is too strong a word, but let's say coerced to abandoning his reelection attempt. This on the heels of a horrifying debate performance that ended his presidency and his chances for election in 2024. But to make him the last speaker in a convention that was running horrifically too long, too many speakers. Why didn't they put him on at 9 p.m.? He's the president of the United States. I think that was a slap. I think that was a real hard slap that I don't think President Biden deserved. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, there are a lot of people that think that President Biden ought to be slapped, but the Democrats doing it? I mean, am I on the right track here? I just thought that was mean-spirited, and I thought it was a slap at not just President Biden, but the presidency itself. They just said, okay, work here's done. Blew him out. That's that. Really? That was something that I think in an unintended way will haunt the Democrats moving forward. You know, you're everything they want you to be as long as you're everything they want you to be. And when you're finished, they just kick you to the curb. And I think that's what happened. By the way, also, I noticed that the incessant fact-checking of everything a former president happens to say was not happening during this speech. The New York Times had some fact-checkers going on. But once again, you know, you're talking about a media that wanted to get rid of Joe Biden. And then they got their wish, and now they're backpedaling and so on. More about the media coming up later on in this broadcast. Getting back to what CNN saw, Clinton, after 8 years, Hillary Clinton made history as the first woman to be a major party's presidential nominee. She was back at the Democrat National Convention urging Americans to finally break the glass ceiling. She said Americans who backed her in 2016 had voted for a future where there are no ceilings on our dreams. After her loss, we refused to give up on America. Millions marched. Many ran for office. We kept our eyes on the future. Well, my friends, the future is here. I wish my mother and Kamala's mother could see this, Kamala's mother. They would say, keep going, she said. She evoked Shirley Chisholm, the first woman to run for the Democrat presidential nomination, and Geraldine Ferraro, the first woman nominated for vice president. Shirley and Jerry would say, keep going. The crowd echoed her comments with chants of keep going. She also connected her own life and her loss and legacy with Harris's hopes in November. Clinton said she'd put many cracks in the highest, hardest glass ceiling, and now Harris is so close to breaking through it once and for all. When a barrier falls for one of us, it falls and clears the way for all of us. I want my grandchildren and their grandchildren to know that I was here at the moment, that we were here, that we were with Kamala Harris every step of the way. This is our time, America. This is when we stand up. This is where we break through. The future is here. It's in our grasp. She did have a witty line. She was talking about the way she looked and the way she laughed, and she said, sounds familiar. That was good. That was a good statement. True? I don't know. But certainly very witty. Among the poignant moments of the convention came the first night as Democrats lambasted Trump for appointing conservative Supreme Court justices to help undo Roe v. Wade, resulting in a state-by-state patchwork of reproductive rights laws. Amanda Zurowski, a Texas woman who underwent life-threatening pregnancy complications but couldn't have an abortion in the deep red state, said Americans need to vote if their lives depend on it, because they do. Caitlin Joshua, a Louisiana woman who was denied health care after a miscarriage in another state with a near-total abortion ban, said, "No woman should experience what I endured, but too many have." Hadley Duvall, who was raped by her stepfather, became pregnant when she was 12, said she can't imagine not having that choice. Democrats were downplaying the war in Gaza famously with a statement by President Biden, who said, "Those people out there protesting have a point." That was an eyebrow raiser for me, and that's just my opinion here. I mean, I went, really? There were few issues that have divided Democrats by age, by ideology, sometimes by identity. The Israel war in Gaza. Not that you would have known it from watching Monday night, says CNN. Earlier in the day, the Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced that Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had agreed to a bridging proposal that could lead to a ceasefire. Next step in the negotiations is for Hamas to say yes. In Chicago, it was Biden who spoke at the greatest length about Israel and Gaza, striking a sympathetic chord for all involved, from Israelis killed by Hamas October 7th to civilians in Gaza now. Those protesters out in the street, they have a point. A lot of innocent people are being killed on both sides. Let's see what else, according to them. Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow stepped on stage with a large prop, a book containing the Conservative Heritage Fund's Project 2025 agenda, so big it barely fit on the podium. The moment reflected how eager Democrats are to tie Trump to what McMorrow called a Republican blueprint for a second Trump term. That's campaigning, isn't it? Donald Trump, for his part, has nothing to do with Project 2025. He has Agenda 47. As we noted on this broadcast, it was USA Today that actually started reporting on what was talked about in Agenda 47, which is the actual blueprint for President Trump's second term, as opposed to Project 2025, which was the result of a conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, that was badly timed. It was badly timed. I don't know why they did it. Maybe they were trying to create some problems for Donald Trump because, as has been noted many, many times, and not just by me, there are an awful lot of Republicans that don't want to see Donald Trump run and win a second term. They just don't want to have it. And so, that being said, what's the Republican Party doing? I mean, could you see the Democrat Party coming up with something like that if the situation was reversed? The answer would be no. But there are too many Republicans that have bought into the leftist line that indeed Donald Trump threatens their rice bowl. Again, that's just my opinion, but that's what I see. How about you? 817-379-2172. The former president has disavowed it. Democrats have framed Project 2025, a 900-page playbook for a second Trump term, drafted in part by 6 of his former cabinet secretaries and at least 140 people who worked in his administration as the former president's agenda. Let's go back through that just quickly. It was drafted in part by 6 of his former cabinet secretaries. We know for a fact that many of those cabinet secretaries were extremely upset that Donald Trump was the president of the United States and indeed saw everything they possibly could to try to sabotage the former president. And I'm pretty sure that the same guys who wrote that part of Project 2025 knew exactly what they were doing and did so. So let's take a look at how this is good. Let's take a look at how the Fox News network, the Fox News channel, covered this story. They said at the start, Kamala makes a surprise appearance, gives brief remarks ahead on day one of the 2024 DNC. Vice President Kamala Harris made an impromptu appearance at day one. Looking out at everyone tonight, I see the beauty of our great nation. She began. People from every corner of our country, every walk of life, here united by the shared vision for the future of our country. And this November, we will come together and declare with one voice, as one people, we are moving forward. Other speakers on day one included former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, First Lady Jill Biden, and President Biden. This is going to be a great week, said VP Harris. I want to kick us off by celebrating our incredible President Joe Biden, who will be speaking later tonight. Joe, thank you for your historic leadership, your lifetime of service to our nation, and for all you continue to do. This is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for joining us. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. Hi, who's this? Hello, are you there? Oh, wait, I didn't bring up the right button. Hi, I can hear you now.
Yes, it's Gary from Fort Worth.
Hey, Gary from Fort Worth, what's up? Did you watch the DNC last night?
No, that was yeah, I was going to answer that question when you put that out. No, I didn't watch it because there wasn't any DNC last night. It's that simple. It was the Communist Convention and the Fascist Convention. If there was a DNC, I would have watched it. And the biggest reason why I didn't are three initials: RFK.
RFA?
If they RFK,
RFK, yeah.
Robert Kennedy Jr. I'm sorry, but yeah, Robert Kennedy Jr. Because if they were truly Democrats, they would have put their arm around him and they would have included him in the debates and had the debates, and he would have been the one to replace the current sock puppet.
Yeah,
but
the only thing about that is Democrats, were all in for Joe until they weren't, until that first debate. If RFK had debated during the primary season, which was basically non-existent, then President Biden would have been out the door a lot sooner.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's my point. If they actually wanted the best person for the job to represent a real Democratic Party, yeah, it would have been him. And all they're doing with, poor old Joe can't even fake it anymore. Let's face it. That's why he's getting, kicked to the curb. And, this one, she's just going to be another sock puppet for 44 and his gang. I mean, that's the bottom line. If people don't understand that, they're foolish. And, that's my whole take on it.
I appreciate it, Gary. Thanks very much for calling. Just so you know that what we're dealing with is the Fox News rendition of what was going on last night at the DNC. They write, Ohio Senator and GOP Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance called Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear a disgusting person, accusing him of wishing that a member of his family would get raped in an interview. Governor Beshear spoke last night at the DNC, praising the Harris campaign and its plan to stop abortion bans following the overturning of Roe v. Wade. In an interview on MSNBC Tuesday morning, Beshear falsely criticized Vance for calling pregnancy resulting in rape inconvenient. Make him go through this, Beshear said in an interview. Really? Vance responded to Beshear's interview in a post on X saying, "What the hell is this? Why is Andy Beshear wishing that a member of my family would get raped? What a disgusting person." Vance has not referred to pregnancy resulting in rape as inconvenient. Rather, as a then Senate candidate, Vance once said, "It's not whether a woman should be forced to bring a child to term. It's whether a child should be allowed to live, even though the circumstances of that child's birth are somehow inconvenient or a problem to society." And yeah, that is mainstream media essentially translating malign translation of what anybody who disagrees with them says. By the way, I got to be perfectly honest with you. I have a son who is the product of my ex-wife and my best friend at the time. He's my ex-old best friend now. And that man is a gift from God to me. And yeah, things could have been different. There could have been the end of that great man. But we interceded. He is a gift from God to me. Now, I'm not saying that you should make the same decision, or that decision I made, the decision we made, was anything except something that doesn't even comport closely with rape. But I can say that I have a gift from God outside of societal norms, and I'm pleased and proud to be his father. This is the Wells Report. We'll be back with more coming up in just a couple of moments. Stay put.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Let's see, what do we got here? We got a lot of people on the chat room today, and I certainly appreciate their contribution. Buddy says, I'll make a bold prediction. If Biden suddenly steps down before the election with Harris stepping in, I think there's a good chance that something happens that gets the election postponed. Let's hope not. Let's see. Carlos says Trump need not take credit for the repeal of Roe v. Wade. Well, that's true. I mean, elections, and that's a good point you bring up, Carlos. Elections have implications. Donald Trump won the 2016 election. He was able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, advise and consent, contentious hearings in the United States Senate. And yes, all 3 of those Supreme Court justices were seated. If the Democrat Party wants different justices on the Supreme Court, perhaps they should come up with things people want to vote for and win those elections, specifically for president, because that's who nominates the Supreme Court justices. That's an important part of what happens in the electoral process. I often say that America is a self-correcting mechanism. It is. When a political party abandons the people of the United States, which is arguable as being true for both the Republicans and the Democrats, there is one party that I think does it in a much more obvious and straightforward way. Then what happens is the people stop voting for you. And somebody comes along that takes an election away from you. And when indeed that happens, you don't have the opportunities to fix things. The American left has long used the judicial branch as a way to legislate agenda items that would not make it through the House or the Senate or be signed by a president. But they keep doing it. The perfect example is Roe v. Wade. Somehow, a 1973 Supreme Court decision became a constitutional amendment. That is not what happened. And that's not being reported. And this myth-making surrounding it is plain and evident today. The Democrat Party said, well, it's a patchwork of abortion law around the country. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be in the United States of America. The Federal Republic of America, with an all-power federal government, may indeed impose laws on the states. But that's not how we do business in the United States. That's a great point, Carlos. I'm glad you made it. It's amazing how the middle of the road on both sides at election, it's amazing how middle of the road both sides go at election time. Well, yeah, you run to whichever end of the political spectrum that you're looking for in primaries, and then you move to the center. Poker asked this: what's wrong with Project 2025? A conservative agenda from the Heritage Foundation would be great. Reagan depended on heritage. That's true. That's true. But what happened is that you have to look at how the reporting of Project 2025 came out. Democrat politicians, liberal politicians have always had these plans for agenda items moving forward. President Trump has one. It's Agenda 47. But what they did is in this great science of propaganda, they kept leaving stuff out and tried to turn Project 2024 into this horrifying plan to destroy America. No, it might be a horrifying plan to win more elections. And of course, as far as you can ask any Democrat, that if they lose elections, it's destroying America because they equate their party with America. Well, okay, that's nice, but is it real? I'm not exactly sure. And so that's the thing about that. What's wrong with Project 2025? Fires government employees who don't agree with Trump's brand of governance. Well, now hang on a second. Do we really want to fire people who disagree? I'm not sure we actually want to do. Let's see. Gary, who just joined us on the phone, said there are no more Democrats. There are only communists. Well, those are the ones who shout the loudest and say the most things. Real Democrats sort of stand back and kind of nod and then make their decisions in the voting booth. That's what happened in 2016. And that's very likely what's going to happen in 2024. I would hope so. Not hoping that Democrats would change their mind, just hoping that everybody would vote. That's essential. Let's see. Justices did not cancel abortions. They canceled the federal control of them. Correct. So says Zan. And there are still Democrats. They just need to take back their party. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And I happen to believe, and maybe I'm just nuts, and you can certainly tell me, like you always do, when you think I'm nuts, and that's this. I think that this is the Democrat Party putting out a decidedly progressive ticket to see one of two things: whether America is ready to be a socialist nation, or to get rid of progressivism, or at least destroy it enough so that it is on the back burner for another couple of decades, by the drubbing that many people feel might be happening in 2024. Either of those benefits a Democrat Party. If indeed people are ready to be a socialist nation, well, the Democrats are positioned perfectly to be able to start demanding that socialism be the rule of the day. And if indeed the progressive wing of the party gets drubbed in the election, then they can say America isn't ready for progressivism and put those people in the back room where they belong, in my view. I mean, socialism is a horrifyingly terrible and destructive virus that destroys every single country that it has influenced. Every single one. And I can't see why we would want to go down that road. But then again, a lot of people voted for Bernie Sanders, remember? This is the Wells Report. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds with hour number 2. A lot of things to do. What is Donald Trump's response to the DNC? We'll be talking about that as well, and we'll also come up with some other things regarding a famous motorcycle manufacturer.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In other words, we depropagandize the mainstream media. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. We change the entire look of the show when I'm opining, in most cases, 99% of them. Sometimes I have an opinion over here, but I always tell you it's my opinion. And the reason is because, like I said, opinion is not news, but it is important. So share yours. By all means, please share your opinions. 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. We are currently monitoring a press conference that is happening in Wisconsin as we speak. Let me see what I can do about bringing this up for you. This is from Fox News Channel. We appreciate them letting us dip in. So let's take a look at what J.D. Vance is saying in Wisconsin.
It is very easy and very fun to criticize the record of Kamala Harris, but we also have to remind ourselves that we don't just have a vision on the Trump campaign. We don't just have a bunch of promises on the Trump campaign. We have got 4 years of Donald Trump's successful leadership that brought public safety to our streets, and that is something to celebrate and look forward to. So here is President Trump's solemn promise to our law enforcement community and all of us who benefit from their sacrifices and their public safety. It is simple. We are going to end sanctuary cities in this country. We're going to bring back pro-law enforcement cities. We are going to deport the violent, illegal aliens that have come into this country over the last few years. No more free rides, no more amnesty. We're going to support the death penalty for drug dealers because they kill far more people than some of the most violent and vicious criminals. We have got to have real penalties for people who are killing our kids and poisoning our communities. We're going to protect police from frivolous lawsuits. You hear President Trump talk about that? The reason that it's so hard for the police to do their job sometimes is they know if they do their job, they're going to get sued for it. We're going to protect them from those lawsuits and make it easier for our police to do their jobs. And finally, we're going to stand up to soft on crime prosecutors. If a police officer does their job and brings in a bad guy, we need some prosecutors who actually lock those people up and put them behind bars. It's common sense. All this stuff is just simple common sense. Now, we know what happens when we don't have leadership who support our law enforcement. We saw it in Kenosha just a few years ago. You all know this better than I do, that 4 years ago, Kenosha had terrible riots after a police shooting. And who was it? Who was the president of the United States that promised that he would send in law enforcement if asked? That was Donald Trump. Who was it that pacified the streets of Wisconsin and ensured that those riots didn't spiral out of control and burn down the entire city? That was President Donald J. Trump. And of course, we know the governor didn't initially want the support from President Trump, but after a couple days of those riots, he relented and did the smart thing and allowed President Trump to send federal support. Without that, I really think that Kenosha would still be recovering from those terrible riots today. But today, look, we're in a beautiful place, and it's a beautiful town. And we can thank President Trump's leadership and also the law enforcement who did their jobs and did it well. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Now, I will always have the back of law enforcement. Let's bring up our reporters here to ask some questions. I will always have the backs of law enforcement. I will always support our police officers because I know what it's like, again, to be a kid who can't even believe and can't even rely on public safety. I want every single child in this country, whether they're rich or poor, whether they grow up on the right side of the tracks or the wrong side of the tracks, every child deserves to have public safety, and that's what we're going to do when Donald J. Trump is president. God bless you guys. Thank you all for coming out. Semper Fi, thank you to these great public servants. Let's get Eric Humphrey across the finish line, and let's make this country great again. God bless you guys. And what I'll do here is I'd love to start out. Thank you, ma'am. I'd love to start out with local Wisconsin reporters and take a few questions from the local reporters. And then if we've got time afterwards, we'll take some questions from the national folks. So if you're a local reporter, please raise your hand. Ma'am?
Hi, Senator. Thank you for your time. It's Mary Jo Ola with TMJ4 News here in Milwaukee. You were just in Milwaukee a few days ago, now in Kenosha. Can you just talk about how much of a priority Wisconsin is to the Trump campaign and where are you headed next in Wisconsin?
Well, look, I just like Wisconsin a lot, right? So I'm going to spend a lot of time with you fine people. But obviously, politically, Wisconsin may be very well the most important state in the country come November. And we believe that. We know that. All the polling says it. But most of all, you feel it on the ground. Look, Wisconsin is a state that I think has really suffered from two failures of the Kamala Harris presidency, vice presidency. The first is Wisconsin is a great and proud manufacturing state with a lot of skilled craftsmen and a lot of people who work with their own hands, make things with their own hands. And they know that with Kamala Harris's policies that raise the cost of energy, you're shipping a lot of good manufacturing jobs off to China. President Trump and I believe we ought to keep those manufacturing jobs right here in Wisconsin. Let's do it with Wisconsin workers and let's produce prosperity for the whole country. And the second thing is, you saw it with the riots in Kenosha in the summer of 2020. Wisconsin has suffered when you don't have good, smart, pro-public safety leadership. And that's what Donald Trump and I want to bring back to the White House is back in the blue, supporting our police officers and making sure that public safety is the birthright of every American citizen. I think that message, that shared economic and public safety message is going to bring Wisconsin home to Republicans in 2024, and it's going to make Donald Trump the president of the United States again. So, yes, it's very important. I also say when my kids came up here for the RNC convention 4 or 5 weeks ago, the one place they really wanted to go was the Cheese Castle. So if you've all, how many of you have been to the Cheese Castle? All right, good. So my kids have been to the Cheese Castle. The first time I ever came to Wisconsin was 12 years ago with my then girlfriend, now my wife. We made our stop at the Wisconsin Cheese Castle. So every time we come back, we got to stop at the Wisconsin Cheese Castle. But it's good to be here. We love the state. Other local reporters, ma'am.
Hi, Megan Marshall with Spectrum News. This is the second endorsement from a local law enforcement here in Wisconsin. Tell me why that's so important to you and your campaign.
Well, I think it speaks to the fact that law enforcement knows who's on their side, right? Donald Trump has been endorsed by so many law enforcement organizations across the country, but now 2 in the state of Wisconsin just the past week because they know that Donald Trump is the one who's actually going to stand up for them and support them. I mean, look, we have got real problems in law enforcement recruitment in this country, and certainly right here in the state of Wisconsin. A lot of our police departments are underfunded and under-resourced. We don't have enough cops to do the job of keeping us safe. And then on top of that, we've got Mexican drug cartels operating as far north as Kenosha, Wisconsin, because we have a border czar, Kamala Harris, who refuses to do her job. These guys just want common sense back, right? Some of them are Democrats, some of them are Republicans. Maybe they agree or disagree with us on tax policy, but they agree with us that we've got to have common sense public safety. And if we don't have public safety, we don't have anything. You can't build a business. You can't go to work. You can't take your kids on a walk in your neighborhood without public safety. Public safety is the foundation of having a good country. And the police of Wisconsin know Donald Trump is the public safety candidate.
That's Donald Trump arriving in Michigan. You're seeing Senator J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, taking questions. A news conference going on now.
Channel 12 from up in Milwaukee. Obviously, there is a big event happening not too far away from here over in Chicago. Did you catch any of the DNC tonight or last night? If you did, What were your immediate thoughts?
Well, my immediate thoughts were all the people booing. I agree with them. That was my response to it, was boo. I watched little bits and pieces of it. We were out campaigning yesterday, so I got home to Cincinnati a little on the later side yesterday. So I watched some of it. I will say just the contrast between the public safety policies of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is really striking. And it's almost a joke to me that they held it in Chicago, which has become the murder capital of the United States of America, thanks to very failed Democrat leadership. I mean, I believe last weekend in the city of Chicago, you had something like 40 shootings and 17 people who lost their lives. That is something that we would not accept in a third world country, much less in one of our beautiful, great American cities like Chicago. And my little theory about why they decided to have the convention in Chicago is, Tim Walz has been going around saying that he served in war, and maybe they did it in Chicago so that he could actually accurately say that he visited a combat zone. Because Chicago, I mean, look, Chicago has violent crime statistics that actually mirror, again, third world, highly violent countries. Again, public safety is the birthright of every citizen in this country, poor or rich, black or white. Nobody should be growing up in a community where you have a murder rate like that. And I think it is a good contrast between the policies of Kamala Harris that promote violent crime and the criminals who do it, and the policies of Donald J. Trump who promote peace, who promote prosperity, and want to throw the violent criminals behind bars. That's what Donald J. Trump wants to do. And
according to news reports, by the way, a quick fact check, 5 people lost their lives, 30 people were shot.
Ma'am, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, this is Stephanie Quirk with Fox 6 News in Milwaukee. Kind of going off the DNC, Vice President Kamala Harris is paying a visit to Milwaukee tonight, holding a rally. Do you have any response to that?
No response. Look, I mean, Kamala Harris is going to run the campaign that she runs. I would say that I wish that she would do what I'm doing right now, which is talk to the media and actually answer some tough questions. I mean, if you think what I'm doing here right now, what am I asking? The question I'm asking is for the fine people gathered to vote for me to be their vice president of the United States. What an awesome responsibility, and what an incredible thing that I'm asking them to do. Now, Kamala Harris is going around asking people to be their president of the United States, but she won't answer a single tough question, and she won't interact with the American people unless there's a teleprompter standing between them and her. And I think that's crazy. And I think that what the media has got to start doing is it's got to start saying, look, if Kamala Harris is not going to stand and answer some tough questions, we're going to stop giving her this fake fawning coverage. Demand that she do what any president has had to do, which is answer some tough questions. But look, her argument, I can't get over this, because you watch her rallies, and Kamala's argument is something that I could not stay with a straight face. She stands there and says on day one, she's going to tackle the housing affordability crisis in our country. On day one, she's going to tackle the grocery affordability crisis in our country, and they are crises. Well, Kamala, day one was 3.5 years ago. You've been the vice president for 3.5 years. What the hell have you been doing for all that time? So for the people in Milwaukee who are going to go to her rally or going to listen to what she says, I just ask them, if she has such good ideas for how to bring down the cost of food and groceries and housing, why doesn't she do it now? She's the vice president. Not talk about what she's going to do in 6 months. Do it now, because she's got the power right now. Thank you. Any other locals? Okay, we'll do a couple nationals, and then we got to hit the road. Go ahead, ma'am.
Senator Merrill Cornfield from the Washington Post. I have a policy question for you. We don't want to talk about policy? So my question is, before you were in the Senate, there was the vote on the Violence Against Women Act. And one of the hiccups with negotiating that bill was, should people who are convicted of stalking be able to possess firearms? What do you think about that?
Well, look, I think that we certainly don't want violent criminals to have access to weapons. And that includes people, I think, who have been convicted of stalking. But I think it's important to say convicted. And what a lot of those of us who are pro-Second Amendment, what we don't want is we don't want somebody to have their gun rights taken away when they haven't actually been in a court of law, right? Whether it's a First Amendment right, a Second Amendment right, any right, you are entitled to due process in this country. And so the criticisms that I've seen of that are not that certainly people who are convicted of a crime, they should not be able to carry a firearm. But people who have not gone through due process, they still have their rights, whether First Amendment, Second Amendment, whether walking around liberty or other rights. And I think that's an important distinction here between our approach and the Democrats' approach. We don't believe in the Republican Party that you should take people's rights away unless they've gone through a court of law.
You're watching the Wells Report. This is a press conference from J.D. Vance, the running mate of Donald Trump.
CNN. I know Donald Trump has been reported.
She's one of the good CNN reporters. There's like two of them. She's okay.
Back to my question. So Donald Trump has enlisted the help of Tulsi Gabbard to prep for his debate. I'd like to know how you were prepping for a debate with Tim Walz, who has described himself as a bad debater. Who's helping you, and how are you prepping?
Well, I found a good friend from back home who embellishes and lies a lot, and I'm having him stand in for Tim Walz. That's what we're doing during our debate. But look, all kidding aside, what we're going to do is we're going to focus a lot on policy, right? The way that I'm trying to prepare is to try to make sure that we're prepared to answer the American people's questions on how we're going to make their lives better, how we're going to make their communities safer, how we're going to bring back prosperity and low prices to the American economy. And we're going to focus on policy. And then obviously we're going to answer whatever questions the moderators have. That's how we're focusing. And by the way, just on President Trump, we have to remember Tulsi Gabbard was a Democratic congresswoman just a few years ago. She ran against Kamala Harris back in 2020, and now she is firmly behind the Trump-Vance ticket. We're actually the ticket that is supported by common sense people across the spectrum. I think Tulsi Gabbard, you saw her. I mean, she basically ended Kamala's campaign on the debate stage. So she's a hell of a debater, but she's also one of these people who believes in some common sense things like we shouldn't send America's sons and daughters off to fight in stupid wars, right? Amen to that, Tulsi. And I think it's really telling that the campaign that has brought a lot of Democrats and Republicans and independents together, it's the campaign of Donald J. Trump. And that's very important. We'll do one more question. Sir.
Hey, Senator Zach Halishak, Washington Examiner. I had a question. Last year, you got a lot of attention for visiting striking UAW members in Ohio. Last night, Sean Fain attacked you at the DNC and Donald Trump. Do you believe the party's going to attract more union voters this cycle, and kind of what's the strategy to do that?
Look, I think that my message to Sean Fain and any other leader of the labor movement would be, who is the campaign? Which campaign is actually going to protect the jobs of American workers, union and non-union alike? It's the campaign of Donald J. Trump. So sign up, get involved, and support the candidate that's actually going to protect your jobs. Now, Sean Fain, he'll go on TV and say that a majority of his membership is going to actually back Donald Trump. Why are a majority of auto workers going to back Donald Trump? The same reason a majority of American manufacturers across the spectrum are going to back Donald Trump, because he's the one who wants to protect their job. He's the one who's saying, if the Chinese want to use slave labor and then import stuff into our country, we're going to put tariffs on the stuff they make with slave labor, and we're going to protect the jobs of American workers. When Kamala Harris says she stands for the United Auto Workers, and yet she supports EV mandates that's going to have every single one of their jobs destroyed and shipped to China, because it's China that's making most of the EVs. In America, we're still making a lot of gas-powered cars. I think people ought to be able to drive whatever the hell they want, because this is the United States of America. We don't tell people what to do. But importantly, if we don't tell people what to do, they're going to be able to buy cars that are made in America with American workers doing the jobs. And that is why I think we're going to win the majority of union and non-union workers in this country. Whatever Sean Fain says, if he listens to his membership, they're behind Donald J. Trump. And of course, there are a lot of other workers who aren't just auto workers who are exactly the same position. All right. What I'll say here finally to wrap up, thanks to the media for asking a few questions, is just God bless you guys. Thank you for coming out.
That is J.D. Vance proving why he is a formidable politician, handling questions without any kind of pause, without any kind of stuttering. And that's one of the advantages that you have when you believe in what you're saying, instead of, say, for example, presenting somebody else's ideas or somebody else's agenda. And so J.D. Vance in Wisconsin, the president has just landed in Michigan, and we will be watching what he has to say a little bit later on. So getting to CNN and how Donald Trump is responding, Democrats prepared for a deeply symbolic night, which is a great way of saying it. This, by the way, from CNN. To mark the passing of a generational torch, former President Donald Trump remained fixated on his former opponent. Trump's campaign has pushed sharply against Vice President Kamala Harris, launching a week-long swing state tour in tightly controlled environments with small crowds. Okay, so CNN is biased. The goal is to counter-program the Democrat convention by leveling the kinds of policy-based attacks the former president's allies have urged him to focus on in recent weeks. Trump, whose advisors say left the GOP convention confident of a comfortable victory in November, letting Joe Biden go has not been easy. One advisor asked if he expected Trump to watch Biden's speech. He said, of course. He posted on social media about Biden's decision to step down and the Democrat pressure that drove the decision, and so on. And that's important. At least it's important to, in my view, in my opinion, that's important. I mean, okay, so the Democrat Party did not have a primary process. The Democrat Party had a candidate in their sitting president to run for re-election. And when the going got tough, they kicked him to the curb. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, when the going gets tough in their policy making and in their policy execution, they're going to kick you to the curb because they're the all-powerful government, the all-powerful party, and they're just like they've done. For a long time, you couldn't buy an incandescent light bulb. They don't want you to be able to buy a gasoline-powered car. They don't want, and I have no idea where this comes from, they do not want to use America's earth fuels. Used to be called fossil fuels, but they're certainly not fossil. They're certainly not finite. But America's earth fuels. They don't want anybody to access any of those earth fuels. And so when they don't want to access earth fuels, what is their plan to pay off a $35 trillion debt? What is that plan? I'm really interested in finding out the answers to that question because, frankly, I don't see any other way of getting rid of $35 trillion of debt except in exporting quadrillions of dollars worth of America's earth fuel. Just saying. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Let's see. Oh, Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson is an iconic United States motorcycle manufacturer, and they came under very harsh criticism by their own customers because of the adoption of woke policies in both their accessing of parts for their motorcycles and in their hiring practices and promotion practices. Well, that didn't sit well with the people at Sturgis. They were not happy about that, and they have pushed back mightily. And moreover, Harley Davidson has caved. We've got that coming up in just a couple of moments. Then we also have to look at the media. The media's coverage of last night's opening night of the Democrat National Convention. How did they see it? What did they say? What were the hits and what were the misses? And you're going to be amazed at just exactly who screwed up the coverage last night. At least in my professional opinion, I was like, did he really say that? Did he really just say that? And you're not going to believe who it is when I play it for you coming up in just a couple of moments. It is the Wells Report. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. So as you know, we depropagandize the mainstream media. And we do so because you need facts. And those facts are essential for your vote. I don't care who you're voting for, but facts are essential. You have to know what these people want to do with this nation as our leaders. Now, the media is kind of a in my professional opinion, since I've been in the media for a half a century, the media has abandoned the truth and chosen sides. And that's true for all parts of the media that I can see. And I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. So what I try to do on this broadcast is craft a balance. Try to stick to the facts, tell the truth, etc. So there were a couple of different ways that the mainstream media handled the goodbye of our president, Joe Biden. This was from Fox and Friends earlier this morning on the Fox News channel. Check the way they handled President Biden's goodbye.
I made a lot of mistakes in my career, but I gave my best to you. For 50 years, like many of you, I've given my heart and soul to our nation. And I've been blessed a million times in return for the support of the American people. I've either been too young to be in the Senate because I wasn't 30 yet, and too old to stay as president. But I hope you know how grateful I am to all of you. I can honestly say, and I mean this from the bottom, give me my word as a Biden, I can honestly say I'm more optimistic about the future than I was when I was elected as a 29-year-old United States Senator.
Yeah, that was how Fox handled the goodbye. I thought that was very classy. I thought that was a good statement from the president as well. But that is not exactly how everything else happened on different networks. This was one of those situations that I often refer to when I say that, hey, if you sit behind one of these microphones long enough, you're going to say some really dumb stuff. And that happened last night to Jake Tapper on CNN. I mean, I don't have words to say it except check this out.
One of the dynamics that is going on, and this is going to be a night, obviously, where there is an homage to President Biden. We just heard Vice President Harris talk about thanking him and how important he has been to this country and to this party. But one of the issues is that for the last year, as people geared up for the 2024 race, the candidates were, in the minds of Democrats, one candidate, the Republican, who would come out and offend them, and the other candidate, their candidate, the Democrat, Joe Biden, who would come out and they would sit on the edge of their seat and hope that he didn't say something meandering or off message or addled. And that fear about their nominee speaking is gone. Now they have somebody who, does project joy. And they're not particularly subtle about how they want the message of this convention to be joy, but she does project joy with her smile and her tone and her mien. And she's not somebody that, in a situation like this, is going to cause Democrats that tension that we used to feel in the media and all Americans when the president would come out and speak.
Oh my, oh goodness, Jake. That may have been something that you feel, but it does illuminate a couple of different things. First of all, if you've been feeling that way, how come you haven't covered the story? How come you haven't covered the fact that you believe that people sit on the edge of their seats hoping that President Biden doesn't say something addled? That's thing number one. Thing number two, why would the media be concerned one way or another if Joe Biden did say something addled? Their job is to report the news. But that bespeaks the bias of the news media. I mean, it's plain. It's plain, and it's simply the way it is. And I look at that and I go, oh my. I mean, could you be any more transparent with regard to your bias and the bias of your network? And while we're on the subject of biased networks, you really can't talk about that without talking about MSNBC and Joe Scarborough.
Democrats were afraid. Absolutely. I would be on sets with them in the 90s and the early 2000s. I'd say, America's great. They couldn't go, yes, it is. They could not do it. It was reflexive. It was weird. It's like, well, but look what we're doing here. Look what we're doing there. They couldn't do what Democrats learned how to do after Donald Trump started trashing America and saying, you know what, America is great. We still have a long way to go to be a more perfect union, but we're doing that together. And that promise makes America even greater. Democrats, I don't know when they figured it out. They figured it out a couple of years ago, but they figured it out at the same time Republicans started nominating a candidate who literally doesn't get America, who literally stomps on America, who literally says that America's in decline, America's terrible. What does he say? What did he say? What was his inaugural speech? I keep forgetting.
American carnage.
Talked about American carnage. By the way, I still amazing. Talked about American carnage when crime rates were at a 50-year low and when illegal border crossings at the southern border were at a 50-year low. He talked about American carnage. That's how wrong he was about America being bad then. That's how wrong he is about America being bad now.
Yeah, and I think he has his story of America. And what was missing was, as you said, because I think a lot of Democrats felt it was cringe to be patriotic in that way, there was not always a counter patriotism, a more progressive version of patriotism. And I think you're finding it now. It is not a patriotism that erases hard truths about American history.
No. Right.
It's not a patriotism that needs to lie or distort history.
No.
It's a patriotism about perfection and perfecting over time.
Well, and about the promise and the possibilities that America offers that other countries don't. And that's something that Donald Trump just, I think, brought out in the Democrats because they realized, don't take away our possibilities. Don't take away our promises. Don't take away our rights. Some of the other speakers.
Yeah. So sorry about that. But what I can see as a news professional is I can see all kinds of revisions of history. Can you? Joe Scarborough says that Donald Trump is denigrating America. He's not denigrating America. How does a guy who runs on a platform of Make America Great Again denigrate America? He's denigrating the Democrat policies that are currently running America. But they just skipped over that. And carnage at the southern border, 50-year low, 50-year low. Right. There are over 8 million illegals that are in this nation since Joe Biden took office. Talking about revising history. I mean, come on. These are things that are very, very simple and very straightforward, but Joe Scarborough runs an echo chamber. And this is simple. And by the way, crime at a 50-year low. Do you know why crime is at a 50-year low? Because FBI statistics that they're quoting don't include all the major cities. Remember, the top 25 cities, of the top 25 cities in America, all but one are run by Democrat political machines. And so those statistics are not present in the crime statistics that they keep bringing up. Why? Well, because it's a bad story, that's why. Crime statistics need to be real. That means you get everybody's crime statistics. You put the top 20, let's say just 24. I don't know exactly which city is run by Republicans, but you take the top 24 leftist cities and add them back to the crime statistics. You tell me whether or not crime is down. See, this is why the media is so important in this particular race. The media is important because they are another voice, arguably another candidate. They are the gatekeepers of information that they want to report. There is something, perhaps the best news anchor out there right now is David Muir from ABC. But take a look at the way they're reporting on Donald Trump when he's going about his campaign business. Check this out.
With the Democratic National Convention kicking off here in Chicago, former President Trump now looking to counter-program this, campaigning in key battleground states. Today in Pennsylvania, where he took aim at Kamala Harris's new economic plans. And after speaking at length this weekend about how Kamala Harris looks, telling his supporters he's better looking than Harris. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, Donald Trump trying to counter-program the Democratic National Convention, traveling to 4 battleground states this week, starting with all-important Pennsylvania. The former president visiting a manufacturing plant, hammering Democrats on the economy.
Kamala Harris is an economy wrecker and a country destroyer. Our country will be destroyed if she gets in.
Trump also taking a shot at Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who has called the Republican ticket just plain weird.
He said, we're weird. That JD and I are weird. I think we're extremely normal people. Like you, exactly like, he's weird. Did you ever see him go on the stage and go like crazy? It's like, between his movement and her laugh, there's a lot of craziness. I'd say a step further than weird. Weird is a nice word by comparison.
Some top Republicans have urged Trump to lay off the personal attacks on Harris, but he has said he's entitled to do it, over the weekend saying this about her appearance.
I am much better looking than her. I think I'm much better. Much better. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. No, I couldn't believe it. She said, I had never heard that one. They said, no, her biggest advantage is that she's a beautiful woman. I'm going, I never thought of that. I'm better looking than she is.
Oops. Yeah. So ABC answers one policy question in that entire report. The rest of it is all subjective. And they focus on Donald Trump saying that he looks better than Kamala Harris. And that, by the way, is sarcasm. What President Trump may be doing, I can't say that this is what he's doing, but this is what I got out of it. He is being sarcastic about the fact that we're not talking about substance. We're talking about style. We're not talking about reality. We are talking about looks. And I think that was basic sarcasm on the part of the president. I could be wrong. He may actually believe that he looks better than Kamala Harris. But that being said, I bring up the gatekeeper aspect of the mainstream media. They can choose what they report. In this case, one statement about policy on Donald Trump, and the rest of it was gnashing of teeth regarding things that have nothing to do with this election. And that's important that you know this. I dare say that nobody's brought this up to your attention until you watch this broadcast today. And the reason that is because I'm not interested in pursuing a political agenda when it comes to news. I'm interested in pursuing news. It's got to be that way. That's what the media is for. Free speech, freedom of the press is in the Constitution of the United States. It's the First Amendment. And what are they doing with it? What the mainstream media is doing, regardless of what side you're on, is they're preaching the gospel of what side they're on. Seriously? Yeah, seriously. And that's just something that you really can't deal with if you're trying to make a decision based on fact. And it hurts us. It hurts the nation. A free, vibrant press focused on fact, focused on truth, focused on, shall we say, purloining any deviation from politicians of either of those things is what the free press is for. And I don't know how many people have to get fired from major networks, but you've seen it. I mean, you have seen a nonstop flow through the outdoor of major media places, major media networks, of people that cannot separate politics from fact. I don't know how many of them have to get fired. I don't know how many news organizations have got to be a profit sump against their own networks before people actually get it. I just don't know. All I can say is I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be here if you were being served by the mainstream media. You know, as somebody said errantly a couple of days ago, some guy in his man cave, which is not true. This is not my man cave. This is my studio. My man cave is over there. Okay? And I can't show it to you because it's a man cave. Not something you want to see. Icky. But all I can say is yeah, one guy. Because I'm not devoted to politics. I'm devoted to information. Truth. I'm interested in finding out what's real. This is the Wells Report. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Let's see. I may have cracked a rib laughing, says Arthur. Art? What were you cracking a rib laughing at? Just go ahead. That's the chat room, by the way. I was busy on the chat room here. So there you go. Excuse me. It's allergy season here in Texas, and it's driving me crazy. Okay, so Harley Davidson famously came up with this wonderful idea to go woke. They released a statement, however, backing off on all of those things, and we're going to bring you a report from a really cool little news source. It's country. What is it? Let me see if I can get this right. I want to make sure I get this right. Country Time News. I've got a report for you here. Jochen Zeitz is not an American. He is a guy who used to run the Puma tennis shoe company that somehow got to the CEO's office at Harley Davidson and decided that woke was the way that Harleys need to be built and moved forward. And there were a lot of people that said nope, and most of them rode Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Take a look at this report from Country Time News.
Just earlier today, Harley-Davidson released a statement responding to the backlash, acknowledging they're making some changes. But some longtime Harley-Davidson customers are saying they won't purchase anything from the company again until they remove their CEO, the one who implemented all these changes. In their statement responding to the controversy, Harley-Davidson wrote, "We remain committed to listening to all members of our community as we continue on our journey together as one Harley-Davidson. United we ride." The statement reads, "For over 120 years, Harley-Davidson has brought the joy of motorcycling to riders around the world. We have a guiding principle, united we ride. It defines how we run our business, treat our people, and underscores our commitment to welcoming all. We are saddened by the negativity on social media over the last few weeks, designed to divide the Harley-Davidson community. As a company, we take this issue very seriously, and it is our responsibility to respond with clarity, action, and facts. Based on our review, we are committed to the following: diversity, equity, inclusion, or DEI. It is critical to our business that we hire and retain the best talent and that all employees feel welcome. That said, we have not operated a DEI function since April 2024. We do not have hiring quotas, and we no longer have supplier diversity spend goals."
Okay, so yeah, every now and then you come up with a really bad idea and you have to walk it back. I don't think that this is as bad as, say, for example, I don't know, Bud Light. However, and the reason is because, if you're Bud Light and you make a mistake with your marketing and people stop drinking your beer like it's a religion, you have a problem, because there are lots of other beers and a lot of them are better tasting than Bud Light. I got to be perfectly honest with you. Bud Light is blah. That's just my taste. But with Harley Davidson, well, that's not so easy, because there's only one Harley Davidson. You either ride a Harley or you ride something else. And so there is a built-in customer base. And that built-in customer base isn't going anywhere else. Harley Davidson comes up with a better bike, people are going to grab it. Yeah, and I got to be perfectly honest with you. I really, really like Honda Gold Wings for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that their horizontally opposed 6-cylinder engine is very low on the frame, which means a low center of gravity, which I like in a motorcycle. But you really can't go anywhere else for a Harley Davidson. You just can't. And when Harley came up with the V-Rod, oh my, I wanted one of those bikes bad. And I was working on getting one of those so I could say I rode a Harley. And my wife said, nope. As a matter of fact, she said, because my son, this was great. My son Colton said, Mom, when are you going to let Dad have a motorcycle? And Susan came back just like that and said, as soon as I can get him packed up. Yeah. I call her Samurai Susan for a reason. Okay. I mean, she's the wit. I mean, it's outrageously fast and very quick. Look, it's not about who builds your bikes. It's not about who you hire, who you promote. It's not about the DEI policies of your suppliers. It's about your bike. That's what it's about. And you need to concentrate on that. If you want to be a politician, Mr. Zeitz, abandon your CEO job with Harley and go out and get yourself a nice, school board job, a state representative, state senator, hell, run for Congress. I mean, if you can. I mean, do you have a green card? I mean, are you a naturalized citizen? I just have to ask. But that's the situation. Politics is not the answer to everything. As we have seen, politics is generating more questions than answers at every level, don't you think? And that's bad during an election year. But we are trying to remedy it, aren't we? The answer is yes. This has been the Wells Report for this Tuesday, August 20th, year of our Lord, 2024. I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. And I got to say, thanks very much for a rousing debate on the chat room. I wasn't able to get to everybody. And thanks very much for Gary for giving us a call. You know, you can call 817-379-2172. I'd really like to hear your voice. How about sharing it with me and your thoughts and your opinions and what you see? And you'll get another chance tomorrow. This has been the Wells Report. Take care. Be safe. Make good decisions. I will see you tomorrow.